Hello, everybody, and welcome to the opening day, first show ever of the Pits into Flood for the Win baseball channel. My name's Adam. This is the Hall of the Very Good. Is what we'll talk a lot about. Is not all the top players. I don't collect a lot of the big name guys, but I collect a lot of vintage and like to pay homage to the players that don't get talked about a lot. I like collecting those players, and my two favorite are Vada Pinson and Curt Flood. You can see here on the right is a Vada Pinson card from 1966 with Dick Sisler. It's 1964, excuse me, with Dick Sisler, the hitting area. And then the other side is Curt Flood from 1967. I'm paying a little homage to one of my favorite shows, Mookie Chilson's show, with the show notes there. But it's what we're going to do is talk about the channel a little bit, what to expect. Some of the pickups that I made this last week, some shout outs. I'll look at a couple more Vada and Flood cards, and then I'll probably always end my show with like the Hall of the Very Good Players, somebody that that you might not know a lot about, and give you some info on them. I'm going to start a series coming up too where we're going to look at 40 different ways to collect vintage, because I just think there's so many different ways you can collect vintage without getting overwhelmed with trying to, there's not one way to do it. A lot of people like to collect the Mantles and the Mazes and the Banks and all those, and I'm not one of those. Not that I wouldn't mind collecting it. I just don't. I have a small budget like a lot of people, and I like collecting vintage, and I just look at where I can get good deals, and I'm always on the hunt for a good deal. And I think one of the key parts of being I like the hobby. I'm not into the value of the cards as much as I like just collecting, and is finding deals and being patient and looking for where you can find it. I probably do what you guys do. I do eBay, do whatnot. There's some auctions that you look at, but a lot of times it's just being patient, finding things you like. I like collecting all kinds of different stuff from baseball, basketball, football, hockey, but I like collecting events. I like collecting certain players on certain teams for different reasons. So you'll get to see a little bit of that as the channel progresses, and hopefully you'll see some stuff you enjoy, and you'll be able to tell me your players that you think are in the Hall of the Very Good. And that's what a lot of this will be. There'll be definitely Hall of Famers because I do collect them, but I'm always looking for really good deals, and I'll give you some instances here of some stuff. Here's a card I picked up just a couple days ago. The 1982 Cal Ripken. I paid $12 for that. You can always find deals everywhere. Here's a Goose Gossage rookie. Picked that up for $10. Got a nice deal on this Kirby Puckett rookie. Let me get it back a little bit so you guys can see. Paid $6 for that. Got a 1969 Don Drysdale. In pretty good shape. I'm not looking for perfect. Paid $5 for that. 1969 Jim Hunter. Pretty clean. Most of the corners look pretty good. Paid $5 for that. This is the steal that I got last week. I got this for $1. A 1963 Elston Howard. I mean, that's a really clean looking card for $1. Those are the kind of things I look for. I just look for deals to... Got this K-line. Nice 63 K-line for $7. This is one I needed for a run that I was doing on, which I'll explain later, on collecting teams based on war and for the decade. That's one of the things that I think is a great way to collect. I picked this up for $7. How many times do you find it's off-centered? Obviously, it's not a great one, but for $7, it's hard to find those. It's one of my favorite players. I'm a huge Vic Power fan. I think he was a dynamite player, and got this for $4. This is a 1960 Topps when he played for the Indians. Here's one that I think is an interesting card. I'll do a show one day just on this, but guy never had an at bat in the major leagues. He was a pinch runner and was around for 1 year. Herb Washington, former track and field player. Got that for $8. Picked up a really nice, couple nice 69s of, there's Ted Williams with Mike Epstein when he was a coach. Let's see, we'll get that Picked that up for $3. I like this card. I just think it's a great looking card. I like collecting all the combo cards. Sal Bando, Campaneris, and Cater for $2. And then last one is, you know, you've seen this one many times, 69 with McCovey and Marichal. Picked that up for $2. You know, there are deals out there to be had by all kinds of places. You just have to be patient. And, you know, if you're patient, you're going to find some stuff. Do a couple shout outs. There's a couple of channels. I mean, there's lots of channels, right? Everybody, you know, we could shout out channels all the time, but, you know, Greg from Midlife is one of these that encouraged me to kind of do this. I was on a show last year in January where I did a PSA conversion where I took a bunch of PSA slabs and converted them over to SGC slabs, and was on a show for, I don't know, about 20 minutes or whatever. And I just think he's got a great show. I think his community, I think the stuff he talks about is very interesting, the new stuff. And another one of my favorite shows I like is Vintage on Vintage. Steve's a great dude. We're same age, like the same teams. Always enjoyed that. And one more to my buddy Shane out at Shoebox Legends. Shane's the man. If you haven't watched Shoebox Legends, you're missing something, because it's just one of the best shows out there. So I'll give you an idea of my Pinson and Flood collection. This is just Pinson. This is the kind of stuff I have in here. These are rookies, second year. I collect a lot of Pinsons. You know, if I just pick them up if I find good deals on them. Actually putting a run together beyond that, but that's my Pinson cards. I don't have quite as many for the Flood, but I do the same thing with Flood. You know, here's some 59s, some 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. You know, lots of different things. Then I've got, you know, I think we all have oddball stuff, but there's a Salada coin, however you say it, Salada, I think is the way you say it. Some of the Flood stuff, I've got some stuff up on the wall. You can, 61, the 60 I've gotten graded. I grade a little bit, don't grade a lot. Don't grade with PSA. Don't grade much even with CGC anymore. I'm going to be doing a show on grading because I just got a submission back from MPE. I use a lot of smaller companies, cheaper prices, but because I'm not slabbing for value, I'm just slabbing because I like my cards in there. Also have my own, I like doing, you know, MagPro. I think MagPro is just one of the greatest inventions ever. Kim Anderson over there at Zion Cases is just the best to deal with. She helped make my label. She's done it for Brent Richards and many others that use it. I mean, Mangini, all of them, they love these MagPros, and I think these are great. These look nice. They're as nice as any case you're going to see. And you can slab this with a label for right around $3.50 to $4 at the most. Just another way to store your cards and another way to do it without, if you don't want to get something slabbed. I get certain things slabbed that I want. If I have something that's worth something, I send it to CGC. SGC. For right now, as far as we know, as long as that company's around, I think I'll keep using them. Always like their slabs. I just am not going to wait 90 days for something from PSA and play the game of getting a subscription, spending $25 and have the card come back 2 grades lower and not even be worth the money you paid. So I don't deal in high dollar cards, so PSA is not for me. I'm not here to trash PSA, or I just don't use them. I don't like their slabs. I think their slabs they should be the leader in slabs, and I just think most companies have better slabs, but just the way it is, right? You know, there's just people out there that are going to use them, and you use who you like to use. I would never encourage anybody to use something you don't like, and you know, if you're willing to wait and you like the resale value, if you're into resale value and the value of a card, you're probably going to want to go with PSA. It's just the way it is. Just want to make this kind of a short, quick show, just give you an idea. There's going to be lots of things we're going to talk about. I hope you'll come back. Hope you'll tell people about it. The next show is going to be about grading and about the company MPE and why I use them, and a little bit about some of the other grading companies I use and my views on grading. And so the way I would like to end all the shows is with which is part of this whole thing, is the Hall of the Very Good. And today we're going to talk about Tony Taylor. That's his rookie card from 1958 when he played for the Cubs. And there's a 1970 card when he played for the Phillies. He played for, if you can imagine, including minor leagues, he played for 23 years in baseball. Came on it, signed at age 18. Played for Chicago for a few years, Philadelphia, and Detroit. He was a second baseman, a shortstop, left fielder. He was a two-time All-Star. He's in the Philadelphia Baseball Wall of Fame. He was a coach for, 25 years, from 1977 to 2002, for a number of different organizations, mostly the Phillies. But he ended up having over 2,000 hits, but in his whole career, which I always like to include when I talk about a player, I like to include everything, because to me, if you played minor leagues, winter ball, anything, you were playing some sort of professional baseball. In the major leagues, he had 2,007 hits. Overall, he had 2,700. In his 23-year career, he had 381 doubles, 845 RBIs, 110 home runs. Was not a power hitter. He was a second baseman. Stole 309 bases. His high in his career was 26. He batted 265 in the major leagues. He batted 261. He was a solid player. He was a really good teammate. Was excuse me, was just a solid player all the way around and can play multiple positions. He even played a little bit of shortstop, and he played a number, you know, even though he's mostly a left fielder, he did play a few games in other positions. But he was just one of those utility guys you wanted to have on a team, and a really solid player. Unfortunately, one of those guys that never got a chance to play in a World Series, and he's also part of a record I don't think you ever want to be a part of. Him and Johnny Callison played on teams that were no-hit 6 different times. That's not a record I think you want to have, is that you were on a team that got no-hit 6 times. But he does have that record. And but a really good, solid player. Just a guy who I just love his 50, you know, these 59s are beautiful, but his rookie card is just really, you can see in the background, you can see he's in front of the stands, and just a nice picture. You know, those Oak Cub uniforms are sweet. And then I collect cards of players who stand by the back rack. I know that's kind of an oddity, but there's actually quite a few. There's probably over a couple hundred. And that's one of the things I collect, is players that are grabbing a bat at the bat rack or standing at it in a photo. And in 1970, there was quite a few. I think there was about 8 or 10 different ones. And in 71, there was a lot. For some reason, it was, you know, the Topps baseball card photographers, I guess, just loved that, to take those pictures at that time. But thank you for joining me. A little nervous, first time ever doing this. Glad to hear your comments, subscribe, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.